She walked onto the plane as if the world owed her attention. Expensive bag, designer shoes, phone glued to her hand. Her face didn't smile, it scanned. She glanced at the passengers like a bored celebrity at a village event. In her eyes, she didn't belong here. Everyone else was beneath her. He sat quietly by the window, dressed in faded green fatigues. His boots were dusty, worn from travel. His eyes were tired but focused, calm. There was no security around him, no flashes, no cameras, just silence. The kind of silence that holds more weight than words. She stopped at his row, looked at her ticket, then frowned. "Ugh, economy," she muttered. She didn't even greet him. She squeezed into the seat next to him, clearly bothered. When he nodded gently in respect, she turned her head to the window and sighed, as if his presence was an insult. He didn't react. He didn't explain himself. He just looked out at the tarmac, deep in thought. She had no clue who he was. She had no idea the man she just dismissed had more power than most presidents, but chose humility instead of luxury. As the plane taxied, she turned up the volume on her life. Phone calls, loud laughs, Instagram scrolling, eye rolls, and then she started talking politics. Not out of knowledge, but out of ego. "Africa's leaders are jokes," she said to her friend on the line. "Especially that boy in Burkina Faso, Traoré? He's just a child playing president." The man beside her didn't flinch, but her words sank like thorns. She kept going. "These military boys come to power, act tough, post videos, and then what? Same mess, same poverty. I give him 6 months. If the French don't remove him, his own army will." He remained silent, not because he agreed, but because he was used to being misunderstood, misjudged, especially by his own people. Especially by those who couldn't see the war behind his calm face. Especially by those who confused simplicity for weakness. Tap the like button if you know someone who's been underestimated, only to surprise everyone. She took a selfie midair. He looked on quietly, not offended, not annoyed, just still. Because while she was scrolling for likes, he was thinking about children who hadn't eaten, about roads still mined, about mothers crying over graves of sons who had died in the bush, about the future he was trying to protect. What she didn't know was that President Ibrahim Traoré wasn't just flying to a summit. He was flying to a funeral. One of his youngest soldiers, barely 20, killed in an ambush. He didn't send a delegation. He came himself. Because loyalty to him wasn't a slogan. It was sacred. She kept talking, calling out presidents like they were jokes in a group chat. But her ignorance was showing, and soon the whole plane would see it. Midway through the flight, the cabin attendant approached. Softly, respectfully, she whispered, "Mr. President, you're welcome to move to first class now." The cabin grew quiet, heads turned. The woman froze. Her eyes darted to the man beside her. Suddenly, he looked different. He smiled gently. "No need," he said. "I'm fine with my people." The humility in his voice struck like thunder. He didn't look at her with anger, only calm. And that's what shook her more than anything. Not power, but presence. Comment respect if this moment gave you goosebumps. She had just mocked the very man who was fighting for her freedom, fighting for her dignity, for her future. She had laughed at a leader while he sat silently beside her, carrying the weight of a nation. The rest of the flight, she didn't say a word. She couldn't. Her thoughts were spinning. Every insult, every careless word. She felt it now, deep and heavy. Shame wrapped around her like a fog. She realized she hadn't just disrespected a man. She had disrespected a movement. And yet, he never once reminded her of who he was. That's the power of real leadership. It doesn't need to scream. It doesn't need to show off. It lets truth speak for itself. If you believe real leaders lead with grace, hit that subscribe button and share this message. As the plane landed, Traoré helped an elderly woman with her luggage. No press, no bodyguards, no staged photos. He stepped aside to let others exit first. He walked with quiet dignity, head high, heart full, not of pride, but of purpose. She sat in her seat, eyes low, ashamed, but also changed. That flight wasn't just a journey in the sky. It was a lesson, a mirror, a reminder that the greatest men don't always come dressed in gold. Sometimes they wear dust and carry scars. Ibrahim Traoré is not just a president. He's a symbol. A young African man who didn't wait for permission, who didn't wait for applause, who looked around and said, "If no one will fix this, I will." He came not from castles, but from trenches, not from campaign posters, but from conflict zones, And in every step he takes, there are memories of brothers lost, communities abandoned, futures stolen. He carries all of that, and still, he smiles. Share this story if you believe Africa deserves leaders with heart, not just titles. Africa has had enough of the greedy, enough of those who sell their people for a seat at foreign tables, enough of those who wear suits but have no soul. Traoré is different. He doesn't beg. He builds. He doesn't follow. He leads. He's been threatened, sanctioned, targeted, but he doesn't back down because he knows his mission is bigger than fear. It's about dignity. It's about land, about language, about legacy. He doesn't serve France. He serves Faso. He serves Africa. If this moved you, drop a comment, subscribe, and stand with the truth. That woman on the plane may have started her journey laughing, but she ended it listening. And maybe that's what we all need. Less noise, more listening, less judgment, more understanding, less pretending, more heart. This isn't just a story about embarrassment. It's a story about awakening. It's about a man who reminds us that you don't need a crown to lead. You just need courage and love for your people. Traoré's story is just beginning, and so is Africa's. A continent tired of waiting, rising on the backs of dreamers and doers, carried by those who refuse to kneel. This is not just a fight for Burkina Faso. This is a cry from every forgotten border, every broken road, every silenced voice. Stand up, speak out, support leaders who serve. Reject those who sell us out. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the story they don't want told, but we'll tell it. For every Traoré rising in silence, for every African who refuses to bow, Africa is rising, and no one can stop her now. But rising isn't just about politics. It's about people, about pride, about knowing who we are and refusing to be told who we should be. That's why Traoré matters, not because he holds a position, but because he holds a principle, one that says Africa belongs to Africans, fully, without apology. He speaks softly, but his actions are loud. He doesn't throw big words in foreign tongues. He speaks in action, in service, in presence. When floods hit, he shows up. When attacks happen, he mourns with his people. No private jets, no luxury, just a man walking alongside those he leads. If that kind of leadership means something to you, hit the like button right now. The media doesn't always show this side. They call him controversial, unpredictable, dangerous, but they don't live where he walks. They don't hear the voices in the villages. They don't see the tears of relief from mothers when soldiers bring safety, not chaos. They only see headlines. We see home. And maybe that's the difference. We don't need perfect. We need present. We don't need saviors. We need brothers. Sons of the soil. Men who love Africa not in theory, but in blood, sweat, and soul. That's what Traoré is. And whether they like it or not, that's what scares them. Comment Africa first if you believe leadership starts with love for your land. The world is watching, and some of them are nervous, because for the first time, Africa is refusing to be quiet. We're refusing to be sold piece by piece. Our gold, our oil, our voices. And leaders like Traoré, they are the beginning of a new chapter, a bold one. He may be young, he may not wear the suits they expect, but he wears the weight of his nation, and he carries it well. While they sit in glass buildings, making plans for Africa, Traoré is in the dust, making plans with Africa. This isn't about politics anymore. It's personal. It's about every African child who deserves clean water, safe roads, and a future that doesn't involve begging outside embassies. It's about saying, enough is enough. And he said it, loud and clear. If this message speaks to you, subscribe now and share this story. They tried to paint him as a threat, but he is a mirror. A reflection of everything the old systems fear. A leader who can't be bought, can't be bullied, and can't be broken. That flight was just a moment, but it represented something deeper. That woman mocked him because she couldn't recognize real power. But now she knows. And maybe that's all it takes. One moment, one meeting, one leader to remind us what we've forgotten. Africa's future won't be decided in foreign offices. It will be built here, in the minds of young leaders. In the hands of the honest, in the hearts of the fearless. And it's already happening. Country by country, city by city, spirit by spirit. And if you're still watching this video, it means you believe that too. You believe in a continent that no longer kneels, in stories that aren't filtered through foreign eyes, in voices that speak with power, not permission. You believe that one man, with courage and conviction, can start a movement. Traoré isn't perfect, But he's proof. Proof that Africa can rise with dignity. That we don't need to wait for approval. That we already have everything we need. Land, people, history, and now leaders willing to fight for all of it. So next time you see someone walking quietly, don't overlook them. Look closer. They might be carrying something greater than a title. They might be carrying hope. Drop a comment below. What kind of Africa do you want to see? If we stay silent, nothing changes. But if we tell these stories, share these voices, support these leaders, the world will have no choice but to listen. They ignored us for decades, but no more. Our stories matter. Our leaders matter. Our dignity matters. She mocked him on the plane, but now the whole world knows. That man was President Ibrahim Traoré, and he's just getting started.